Erica.
All righty. We made it in. Yay. I'm sorry. We got a storm going on out here, and I love storms, except when they interfere with my stream. So let's see who's in here. And let's wait for Paul to come back. Hello, Paul.
Hi.
This is my friend Paul. I am going to give you a bio here. I'm going to try and do this anyway. Let me see if this works. So hello, I'm Deocean Swiger, and this is Deocean's Deepu. Welcome to the premiere of my friend Paul coming in and actually telling us some stuff about energy medicine. And I gotta tell you, here's his bio. I just posted it. And if you could get PhDs in metaphysics, this guy would definitely have a PhD. And probably that wall would be covered in certificates. Okay. So with that, and by the way, hello, let me do a shout out for everybody that made it in. Pam, I am. Hello. Gemini Moon. Denali Princess. My God, I can always count on you. I love you guys. You are so sweet. Okay, and Gemini is here. Yay. Okay, because I didn't get you on the phone earlier. Oh, yeah, we do have strong storms. Oh, is Jason in here too? I can't see him yet. Hey, Jason. Okay, so I'm just going to let Paul talk and get started here because now we're in a little bit different setting tonight because I thought this was charging and it wasn't. So I'm only at 50%. So I've got it plugged in though, and I can't find the power pack. So I've got it plugged in, so we're going to be fine. However, I kind of got to stay in this room, so it's a little different atmosphere tonight. That's all. Now let me see. Let me give my disclaimer. This is the Ocean's Deep Woo, and we do the deepest of woo. We do all kinds of woo, everything from Sasquatch to and other cryptids to UFOs to contact to ghosts to house clearings to crossing overs to what have you, anything, time travel, remote viewing, every sort of subject is on the table, including energy healing. Tonight's subject, energy healing. Now, I know some of you are very much into that already, but now Paul's got some stuff that he does that you may not have heard of yet. So, with that, a guy who has really helped me for a long time. I mean, really, I've known him a long time, and he has given me many remedies over the years that have been very helpful. Paul Christian of Rainbow Gardens.
Thank you, Ocean. Well, Ocean asked me to speak a little bit about energy healing in general. When we're talking or listening to scientists, almost all of them are talking quantum physics. They're talking energy. Until you start talking to doctors, and suddenly they're talking chemistry again. So our medical system has not caught up with our science. So basically, I've been involved in some sort of energy healing for over 30 years and got going in homeopathy, which I will go into more detail later. But energy healing in general, we have the physical body. Okay, so that's where the chemistry takes place. But we also have an etheric body, or what I like to call the blueprint body, that extends out and is within. It's maybe an inch to 2 inches around. And if we can heal things on the blueprint body, then the physical body will say, oh, now I remember, and it will heal. So interesting experiments were done. You may be familiar with Kirlian photography, or Semyon Kirlian from Russia. He liked to photograph leaves and fingertips. Well, there was a group of people that took his work and decided they wanted to photograph a growing leaf bud and take a series of photographs. And what they expected to see was this little aura around the leaf bud. But that's not what they saw at all. In the energy field, the leaf was whole and complete, and the leaf grew into that energy pattern. And the same thing is true with us. That's how our science knows how cells differentiate. They've done a lot of studies on that, but they've never figured out yet how do all the liver cells get together in the same place and make a liver? How do all the heart cells get together in the same place and make a heart? They know how they differentiate, but they don't know how, what tells them to all get together in the same place to make that organ. Well, it's the energy pattern. So we grow, that energy pattern is there, whole and complete, and the small baby in utero grows into that energy pattern. Okay, so just to give you a little background on myself, I am a Holy Fire 3 Karuna Reiki Master. That's on the bio. So to my knowledge, that is the latest evolution of Reiki. But I do more than just Reiki. Now, in ancient times, you've probably all heard of Atlantis. And Ocean, knowing her, has probably mentioned Lemuria, which was before Atlantis. Well, the ancient Lemurians healed with a balanced system of healing, with a masculine, a feminine, and a grounding energy. Well, Reiki is the masculine energy. And there's a feminine energy, a high frequency feminine energy called Amanahuna, which was rediscovered in Hawaii. And my teacher, Arthur, had an amazing awakening experience there. And then the story I heard was about these ancients. When I first heard that story, I literally, physically felt something pierce my heart. And I knew in that moment that I needed to help reestablish that ancient energy healing system, that balanced system of healing. So I knew about those two energies, but found a guy that was a shaman who had channeled a system of attunements to earth energy. And his name was Ray. So anyway, so now I'm a master of all three, and I teach all three. So people find if they have, Reiki is by far the most popular, and that's usually what people have. But then when they add either Amanahuna or earth energy and have two of the three, they find their healing ability goes up. And then when they get the third one, they start getting really amazing results, and they start getting them quicker. And that was my experience. So now I also do experiments in using geometric form to generate healing energy. And I don't know if you've talked about cymatics, uh, but it is all right. If you took a speaker from your stereo and put it on the floor, speaker up, and put a paper plate on top of it and sprinkled some colored sand on there, and then you played a tone, that sand would start to dance and it would form a geometric pattern. So that's a very crude instrument there that we've done. But if you play the same tone at the same volume, you will always get the exact same geometry. So what I'm doing is working it the other way around. So basically vibration creates geometry. Oh, and I do have to tell you an interesting story about Deepak Chopra. Now, one thing about Deepak, he's not working with a paper plate and sand, okay? He's working with a very sophisticated instrument that will translate vibration into geometry. And he got a Hindu chant master to chant Om. And when that chant master chanted Om, the geometry that formed was the Sanskrit Om. So literally, the vibration in the Sanskrit alphabet, the vibration creates the actual alphabet. So that's why Sanskrit is such a sacred language. And the people who chant in Sanskrit, the teachers are very exacting because that sound is actually creative energy. So that's some of the things that I'm into in energy healing. So as far as homeopathy, I went to my first homeopathic study group meeting in 1989, and I was literally set on fire. My wife's name is Linda, and when we got home, I said, Linda, this is what I want to do. And at the time, I was a foreman in a plastics factory. So basically, I started buying books and studying, and 2 to 3 hours every day after work and on weekends and going to seminars. And 3 years later, the doctor I was studying under, Dr. Garn, asked me to come and work for him part-time.
And this was a medical doctor, right? This was a real medical doctor.
Yes, he's an MD, and he actually learned homeopathy in Germany and was so excited about it. He came back to the United States, went to Ohio State, and got his medical degree so that he could actually practice homeopathy in a medical setting. And after 3 years of part-time, he asked me to come and work for him full-time. So that's what started my journey in homeopathy. So let me tell you a little bit about homeopathy itself. It was the idea of homeopathy had been introduced into medicine before Samuel Hahnemann. And Samuel Hahnemann was a medical doctor who lived about 200 years ago, but he was the first one to actually make an homeopathy into an organized system. So the way he got started on that, now back 200 years ago, doctors were dosing people with mercury and other very harsh things, doing bloodletting. And so Samuel Hahnemann could see that he was making his patients worse. And so he actually quit the practice of medicine. Now, Samuel Hahnemann was a genius. He was not only an MD, he was also a chemist and a linguist. He was fluent in 7 different languages. So he started translating medical texts for a living. He ran across this one by a prominent Scottish physician And that physician made the statement that quinine was effective against malaria because it was bitter. Well, Hahnemann knew quinine was very effective against malaria, but he also knew there were many things much more bitter than quinine that were not effective against malaria. So he said, well, there must be some other reason. So at that time, quinine was gotten by using the bark of a Peruvian tree, the cinchona bark. So he ordered some of that, and when he got it, he made it into an herbal tincture, and then he drank some of that. And he started getting achy and feverish, intermittent fever, aches, chills. Well, what does that sound like? It sounds like malaria. So he repeated that experiment 3 or 4 times. And then that was the real aha moment. The birth of modern homeopathy is when he realized quinine is not effective against malaria because it's bitter. It's effective in malaria because it can cause the same set of symptoms in a healthy person. So that is the number one principle of homeopathy. And to shorten that, it's like cures like. So he started doing provings on himself, family, colleagues. And in his lifetime, they proved either 99 or 100 remedies. And what a proving is, you get together a group of normal, healthy people, and they actually start taking the remedy and then very carefully record any changes, any symptoms that they have. So if you got a headache, you didn't just say, I got a headache. I got a stabbing pain in my left temple at 3 o'clock in the afternoon that was better when I walked around and worse when I stayed still. That kind of exacting detail. So now if you had 12 people in a proving and 9 of them had that symptom, then you would know this is very, very closely associated with this remedy. So we have many, many provings now. We have over 6,000 remedies now. And they're from plants, probably about 70% from plants. But some of our newest remedies are very exciting, are animal remedies. And we also have mineral remedies like sulfur or calcium carbonate, a lot of different things, almost anything, metals, gold, silver, can all be made into homeopathic remedies. So when Hahnemann first started, he was working with herbal tinctures at first. But then he found out that people generally got worse before they got better. You know, if you matched the symptoms well, they got better, but they had an aggravation first. Well, he didn't like that. So somehow there was this intuitive leap. And what he started doing was he would take 1 drop. Let's say he made up belladonna herbal tincture, which if you're going to use that as an herbal tincture, you have to be extremely careful because it's deadly poison. You would take 1 drop of that and dilute it in 99 drops of distilled water and alcohol, and then you would shake it with an impact. It's called succussion. So basically what you would do is take that vial with that dilution and whack it on a book 10 times. And we call that a 1C because it's 1 part per 100. So the Roman numeral C. But then you would take that 1C remedy and you would dilute it 1 part per 100 again and then shake it again. Well, and you would keep diluting your dilution. So it's a serial dilution. But by the time you get to 3C, you've got 1 part per million. By the time you get to 6C, you've got 1 part per trillion. At 12C, the laws of probability say there probably isn't any more original molecules in that remedy. It's strictly, at that point, it's strictly an energy signature. And the reason that can work is because water is a special, miraculous substance. Water is actually a liquid crystal. It has the ability to retain memory. Back in the 50s, the head of the physics department at Harvard did a very interesting experiment. He took water, he divided his sample so that every sample had the same source of water. But he took part of that and he froze it at sea level, and then he did a spectrographic analysis of the ice to get an actual analysis of the crystalline structure. And then he took another sample of that same water, took it to 5,000 feet and froze it, did that spectrographic analysis, and the crystalline structure was different. Now, that's not surprising because of the altitude and the pressure difference. The interesting part of that experiment was he took the ice that he had frozen at 5,000 feet, brought it down to sea level, thawed it out, refroze it at sea level, and it froze in the pattern of 5,000 feet. So it remembered, the liquid water remembered that crystalline pattern. And that's why homeopathy will work. When we shake that and then dilute it, we're diluting out the toxicity, but we're actually increasing it energetically. And then that works on our energy body, which in turn gives the information our physical body needs to heal. Now, I don't know, is your group familiar with flower essences? Have you talked about those, Ocean?
I haven't said very much. I think I've mentioned them a few times, but
okay.
Not really said very much.
All right, well, I'll say a little bit about that because flower essences are very subtle, a very wonderful energy healing modality. But the flower essence, now what they do with those is you would take flower petals, put them in a clear bowl of water, and then set that out in the sun for a couple of hours. And the sunlight impresses the energy onto the water. Then you would skim those flower petals off and then take that water, add a little bit of alcohol, and Corbel brandy is one of the favorite to use. Now that's a preservative. It's just so it doesn't start growing green stuff. Now the energy of those flower essences are very, very high, beautiful frequencies. So if you're depressed, then you would take a flower essence that has the energy of happiness or joy, and it helps pull you up to that place energetically that you're trying to go to. So that the flower essence is that's what it's the energy of what you're aspiring to. And whether that's happiness or Christ consciousness or whatever, there's flower essences specifically for that. Now, the energy of homeopathy is actually different because, as I explained, you're finding something that can cause these symptoms, and then you match the symptoms of the person with the symptoms that came out in approving. The homeopathic remedy is actually the vibration of an artificial disease. And this has been medically verified, and Hahnemann knew this, that we can have two different diseases, dissimilar diseases in our body at the same time, but we can't have two similar diseases because one, the stronger one, will cancel out the other one if they're similar. So we use that medical fact in homeopathy so that if we do a good job of matching the client's symptoms to the symptoms of a known remedy, then that will actually cancel out their illness symptoms. And then because it's artificial, it dissipates and it leaves the person with health. So if you want to read more about homeopathy, here's a really good beginning book. Let me get it. Impossible Cure. I'm trying to line it up and I can't see very well here. Impossible Cure by Amy Lansky. And basically, her child had autism that was completely cured by homeopathy, which is supposed to be impossible, but it happened. So I have seen literally miracles. People with lifelong depression after a homeopathic remedy telling me this is the first time in their entire life that they actually experienced happiness. And this was a person that was in their 40s. I saw, it was a 13-year-old girl who had, she was probably the most hyper person I'd have ever seen in my life. She did not sit down once in the initial interview. For an hour and a half, she basically bounced up and down in the room. She could not stay still at all. And she had tremendous facial deformities. The bone structure in her face was just all lopsided. And parents just, there was absolutely nothing they could do to get her to stay still. They actually just, didn't even try. Now, she was not destructive. She was not trying to be, interrupt or anything. She just literally could not stay still. But one interesting thing was she loved smoked meats, and she, sausage, and bacon and different things like that. And for a 13-year-old girl, I thought that was unusual. And then there was this bone structure. So I recommended to the doctor, when I worked at the doctor's office, I would make recommendations and then he would have to approve them since he was the doctor. So I recommended calcarea phosphorica, which is calcium phosphate. It has a lot to do with bones, but also it has that peculiar symptom of desire for smoked meats. And when she came back for her 1-month follow-up, she could actually sit in a chair. And by 6 months, she was quite calm. And the thing that actually startled Dr. Garn and myself, we could actually see her facial structure was healing. Her actual skull had changed shape and it was more normal now. Now we expected.
So let me hold up a minute here. Now you're not saying bacon or smoked meat is necessarily bad. What you're saying is this was actually a symptom,
yes,
of her problem. Was
yes.
that so? These symptoms can be very kind of odd, kind of stuff
Yes.
that a normal doctor would maybe overlook because they're just don't appear to be relevant, but somehow somehow it's relevant.
Absolutely. Now, that's a really good point, and I'm glad you brought that up, Ocean. That um, now, if someone is having spasms or their pink eye or whatever, now we would take those actual physical, medical things into consideration. But if someone loves thunderstorms and they love dill pickles and they're an aerobics instructor and and yoga instructor, so they love hard physical exercise, most medical doctors would not pay any attention to that at all. And all right, let's say those things that I gave you, loving thunderstorms, loving dill pickles, loving feeling much better after vigorous exercise. And let's say this lady has a combination of some digestive problems and menstrual difficulties. I know exactly what remedy I would give them. I would give them sepia, which is made from the ink of the cuttlefish. So 3 of those symptoms have nothing to do with disease. They're an actual individual. They're characteristic to the person themselves. So when I give you a homeopathic remedy, Ocean, I don't give you a remedy necessarily for the complaints that you're giving me. I'm giving a remedy for Ocean, the individual.
Yes.
So homeopathy is a holistic medicine where we really listen. And one time after an hour and a half, and I'm talking a normal interview is an hour to an hour and a half. And after the one interview, I had a lady, she started crying. And I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Oh, nothing's wrong. It's just that this is the first time I've ever been in a doctor's office that someone actually listened to me."
Listened to her.
She was in her 50s. And this is the first time in a doctor's office that someone actually listened to her. So before I ever give people a remedy, there's a therapeutic response. Just the fact that someone listened to me, I was heard. That is deeply healing in and of itself. And one of the things that I cultivated very early on was non-judgment. Because usually what I really need to hear to find that, the central issue in a case is usually somebody's deepest, darkest secret that they may not have told anybody, or maybe only a very few people. And they're not going to tell me if they don't trust me.
That's right, Paul. And actually, I do want to say that of all the people I know, Paul is one of the least judgmental people I've ever met. So he certainly knows more about me than I ever wanted to divulge to any other individual in my whole lifetime. I'm not sure he wanted to know it all either, but there you go.
Well, the one important thing is that the only other people that know those things are the people that you told, because I've never told a soul.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing.
Basically, I'm like the a priest in a way, that whatever people tell me is completely confidential. And also that cultivating that non-judgmentalness on a unconscious level. People know when they're safe. Now, I'm sure some of you have had the experience of walking into a room and just suddenly feeling enveloped in just beautiful energy. And oh, this feels really good in here. But you've also maybe like you're in that good energy and suddenly Mr. Grump walks in and suddenly your energy field goes whoop, and it was like 12 feet out there and suddenly it's like 2 feet around you. You've pulled in to protect yourself from that energy. So on an unconscious level, we know when we're safe and we know when we're being judged and we know when we're being accepted. So by creating that safe space, I hear the things that I need to hear. And sometimes it's kind of amazing all things that.
And it's part of the cure, right? I mean, it is actually
Absolutely.
part of the cure.
Well, absolutely. And sometimes in talking back and forth, all of a sudden people connect the dots. They connect their symptom or symptoms with, let's say, an early childhood trauma. They suddenly realize, oh my God, my grief or my anger or my fright or whatever, this is actually what's behind the physical manifestation. And just the connecting of the dots is healing. So,
I'm sure.
yeah, but the remedies really, really help. And there was interesting thing one time, a very, very rich and prominent person came to Hahnemann and he recommended a remedy. Well, this man had been to many, many other doctors, but every time he went to another doctor, he got a different prescription. So he said, I'm not taking anything until I find 3 doctors that are going to agree on the same thing. So Hahnemann said, well, okay. So he wrote out all of the person's symptoms and sent it to 22 of his colleagues. And Hahnemann did not tell his colleagues what remedy that he was giving. And all 22 letters came back with the same remedy. So the guy took his Nux Vomica and got better. So that's with the same set of symptoms, a good practitioners are going to come up with the same remedy. Now realize at that time the pool of remedies was much smaller. But some very interesting developments. People who need remedies from plants, you tend to hear them talk is, I'm sensitive to, or I feel. That's their language. Now, what could be more sensitive than a plant? Too much sun or not enough sun, too much water, not enough water. They're very, very sensitive to the environment. So what I like to call plant people tend to be very sensitive. So you're going to hear that I'm sensitive to, or I feel. If someone gives you their story, well, I was born in 1939, and then at 3 years old, this happened, and then at 12, this happened, and they give you this very structured story, they probably need a mineral. Especially if they feel like, I feel as if I'm falling apart. Their structure is crumbling, okay? That's language of someone who needs a mineral. If you hear survival themes or competition, and the person is in brightly colored clothing, they very often need an animal remedy, because animals tend to be competitive and they're in, and there's a lot about survival and they're more animated and active. So these are some of the ways that we determine like what kingdom the remedy should come from. So would this be a good time to open it up to questions, Ocean?
Sure, if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay, hang on a minute. I'm answering somebody.
Okay.
Okay. And David, who is one of our rays of sunshine in here. David Castle says, greetings in favor to you.
Okay. Thank you.
He says, greetings in favor to you all. That's what I say. So let me see. Gemini Moon says, this is outstanding, Paul. Denali Princess says, if they are more Lyran, maybe hairball remedy would work. Well, you never know.
But we do have a remedy from domestic cat milk. So,
My goodness. Denali is a very interesting person. But one of my favorite, you're all my favorite people, though, really. It's so hard to pick one that would be. Is there a remedy for alexithymia? Did I say that right, Black Dragon? There's a black dragon in here who wants to know, is there a remedy for whatever this is here?
I have
Well,
never
see it.
I have never heard of that, so I have no idea. What I would do if somebody says, is there a remedy for fill in the blank? Basically, I would be looking for a remedy for black dragon. I would have to take a case and spend an hour to an hour and a half and find out what's really characteristic about you. Because I could have 10 different people with asthma and they might get 10 different remedies. If I had 10 different people with arthritis, they might need 10 different remedies. Because some people with arthritis, the cold, damp weather really gets to them. And somebody else is going to say, oh, well, I know 2 days before a thunderstorm is coming, where, oh, yes, I see the message here. Yes. This C word.
We have to talk in code, Paul, because it's algorithms.
I'm aware of that. I'm running the code through my brain. Yes, there's a remedy called oscillococcinum. Let's see, my spelling is terrible. Let me make sure. You can buy it at any health food store. OSCILLOCCINUM. Oscillococcinum.
Or they can order it from you, can't they?
They absolutely can, or they can just go to their local, because we have people all over the world, they can go to their local health food store. Now, some of you may not have a good health food store near you, but this is actually in many, many drugstores. And it is one of the best preventatives for any kind of flu at all. Even common garden variety flu. This is a preventative. Okay. Thank you for the definition here of alexithymia. Thank you very much. And I would feel quite confident that I could probably find a remedy. Because now I have 2 clients with schizophrenia and have one that is responding very, very well to a series of homeopathic remedies. And when we first started working together, they could not hold a job for 10 days. and they've been in the same job for about 3 years now. And so they're much more stable. I can't say they're completely well, but we're talking about a very, very deep-seated illness. And so conventional medicine has medications that can keep a person stable and somewhat functional, but they are not curative, where the homeopathic remedies are actually curative. And that's the idea. We go for the gold, making symptoms go away, say with an antibiotic.
That's a Band-Aid, basically, what they call a Band-Aid solution.
Yes. Can I be a little
not
rude?
A cure. And how many, I just want to say, now, I got to ask you guys, how many times do you ever hear of anybody being cured of anything anymore? Or are they just being treated forever and ever and ever?
Yes.
Most of the time they're being treated forever.
Yeah. Am I allowed to be a little bit rude?
Slightly, sure. Oh yeah, sometimes we're quite rude.
Basically, a lot of the medicines that are used that basically suppress or make a symptom go away, it's basically like putting a Band-Aid on shit. Okay? You're not solving the problem because there's still an underlying imbalance. Okay? And the idea is to actually affect at an energy level. It's like, okay, if you have the most beautiful, expensive Stradivarius violin in the world that makes beautiful music and it's out of tune, it sounds terrible. So basically what the homeopathic remedy and other energy modalities will do is get the body in tune so that everything is working together. Now, as far as paralysis, we definitely have remedies for paralysis, but again, 6 different, like maybe 10 different people with paralysis might get 5 or 6 different remedies, because there are certain remedies that have that in their picture quite prominently, but still, oh, thank you, Gemini, for the spelling. It's the individualization that is so important. And that's what makes homeopathy very difficult, because
it's very, very individual.
I've had MDs tell me it's too hard.
It is compared to what they're used to. They're used to cookie cutters.
And just to let people know, I do not have a medical degree, but I've put in literally thousands of hours of study. And well, now I have more than just homeopathic books, but my library is now pushing 3,000 books. So
the Library of Alexandria, yes, and you were kind of in a competition right now.
Yes, we're trying to recreate that, Ocean.
Right. And with my collection combined with yours, I think we might just about have it. I don't know how many books I have, but I know that I need at least 3 more bookshelves.
Yes, I need some more bookshelves, but I'm not sure where I'm going to put them at this point.
Maybe on the ceiling.
Now, there's a question about skin fungus infection. There's a couple good remedies for fungus, but again, I'd have to individualize. But this one, I can actually give a couple good remedies, and one is nitric acid, NITRIC, nitric and acid. Remedy is very good for different funguses. And oh boy. Oh, and creosote. The remedy creosote.
Isn't creosote have something to do with railroad tracks?
Yeah. That's the crap that you would paint on so that they don't rot.
Oh,
Yes. See, we can make a remedy out of the most horrible things, because if you ate that creosote, you probably die a terrible death. Okay. So because it can cause all these terrible symptoms, it can also cure them. So that's why we can use arsenic.
amazing.
Yeah, we can use arsenic, belladonna, um, digitalis, which in large doses, in small doses, it can cure heart problems. Even conventional medicine uses that, but in large doses, it's deadly. Is there a cure for depression? I see that. Um, I've had a lot of luck with that, but again, this is homeopathy is not cookie cutter. So again, I would have to. You get different people with depression. One might be chilly, the other warm. So let's say I have a person who tends to be a bit on the warm side, and they like cool, cloudy days. They don't like being out in the sun. They don't like the heat and the sun. So they like it when it's a sunny day, but they're going to be in the shade. And they have a really strong craving for salt. And they have a history of terrible grief. So they lost a family member when they were 5 years old, and that affected their whole life. So that person probably needs the remedy Natrum muriaticum, which is actually made from table salt. But now you could have another person with depression who was very warm, and they like to theorize about a lot of stuff, and they're very intellectual and in their head, and they have some rashes and itchy skin, and they have some allergies. Then so they would probably need the remedy sulfur. So you see, you have to individualize and get the whole picture. And I'm oversimplifying here. Okay, I see that Gemini took the oscillococcinum for that you know who. So that's excellent. What I recommend at this point is taking it once a month. In the heat of the pandemic, I was recommending it once every 2 weeks as a preventative. And very, very effective. Very, very few of my clients got sick. So any other good questions, people? Any other questions?
Okay. Well, a lot of people are giving remedies for this they're of their own, like ginger and peppermint and so on.
Yes.
But
so for an upset stomach, now if that was accompanied with say a lot of gas and bloating, and the person, they wanted air blowing on them, which is a peculiar thing. They it doesn't have anything to do with the gas and bloating, but they want air moving. They want a fan on them. At the same time they have these problems, they probably need the remedy Carbo Veg, Carbo, and it's vegetablous. But anyway, just if you remember Carbo Veg, there's nothing else that's going to be that. It's made from vegetable charcoal. And sometimes charcoal can be very good for upset stomach or for detox. But as a homeopathic remedy, it can be very helpful for relieving that gas and bloated. But It's got other uses. Let's say someone is ill and they're in a collapsed state. It's like you're not sure that they're actually going to make it. The carbo veg can actually bring them back. Okay, send energy to David. Okay, we can do that.
David Null, yeah, he is. He has another channel. Now they can't see me when I go to David Null's for some reason. They
Okay.
can't ever see my chat. However, I have been to his channel and he is a good guy. He's
Okay.
another shamanic type.
Okay. Well, I can add David to my prayer list, which is quite extensive now. And by the way, you're a permanent resident on my prayer list, Ocean. So
Thank you. I know. I have to be by now.
now you're okay. Here's a question: what's the root cause for skin warts? They come and go. Um, Basically, they're usually caused by a virus. And we do have, actually, there's one remedy that's the most famous for warts. It's not going to work for everyone, but it works for a lot of people. It's Thuja, Thuja. It looks like Thuja, but it's Thuja, Thuja. It is one of the best remedies to get rid of warts. But I'm going to tell a story about I had when I was, maybe 8 or 9, something like that. I got a lot of warts on my fingers. And I showed my dad, and my dad said, "Oh, you know what's good for that?" He said, "Morning spit." He says, "Every morning, the first thing you do when you wake up is lick those." And I believed him. And within 2 weeks, the warts were gone. Now, was it because the morning spit actually worked, or was it because I believed him? I don't know. Maybe both.
Maybe a little of both. You know what? My dad gave me a cure for warts too. And it was, let me see, and my dad was the magical one in the house. You took a string, it had to be of a natural fiber so it could degrade, and you would tie a knot for every wart and rub the knot on your wart, and you would do this at a full moon, and then you would bury the string, and as the string degraded and composted, then it would go away. Your warts would go away. And strangely enough, that actually did work too. Now, why?
Well,
Darn if I know.
that sounds a little bit shamanic to me.
Yeah, my dad was, I've mentioned this on the show before. My dad was very psychic too, but he had a lot of issues. He had PTSD and a lot of other issues. So, but yeah, but he was talented. I watched him heal my dog of paralysis, back legs paralysis. He was a mini dachshund. He hurt his spine, and I watched him do that. He did energy work himself and had the prophetic dreams like I have. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the stuff that I have come from that side of the family.
Right. Oh, I do have, when you just mentioned energy healing, it reminded me of a Reiki healing story. There was a man that came, and he'd been in a motorcycle accident 30 years ago. And he came hobbling in on a cane, and he was in terrible chronic pain all the time. And somebody had recommended us, and Linda, my wife, and I worked on him together. So we spent an hour. Now, when you come to one of us or both of us for healing, we pipe in this beautiful, calm, healing music and light some candles, so you really get the good atmosphere. But Linda usually starts at the head and I start at the feet, and we have a system where we do. Well, he got off the table and thanked us, and he walked out without using his cane. He was just
That
holding his
must have
cane
been
and
a
he walked.
surprise.
So about 6 months later, we got a call from him saying, well, I was feeling so good, I overdid it. I think I need a booster. And so he came again and we did another healing on him. And that was years ago. We haven't heard from him since. So I assume no news.
Must have worked.
So, I mean, it was like from hobbling, I'm literally like really hobbling in to just getting up and walking out. Okay. So, I have another healing story. Well, this is a really good one. So I work with angels, which probably many of you, that's not a problem. A friend of ours called who lived about 30 miles away. And she said, I called to ask you to send healing because a policeman in our area, he had stopped someone. And as he was reaching in the car window to get their license, the person took off. And the policeman got dragged almost 2 blocks, and his legs are mangled, and they're not sure if he'll ever walk again. So I said, sure, we'll send healing. And so I got off the phone and I told Linda the story, and she just said, okay. And so we sat on the couch, holding our hands. Oh, look, can you see? Yes, like this, holding the energy. And right at that moment, I had a knowing. I don't generally hear words. I get these knowings. And I said, Linda, we need to send the healing back to the time of the event. And she just said, okay. So I shut my eyes and we're holding the energy. And on my inner vision, I actually saw the policeman start to be dragged. And I said, angels, hold his legs up off the pavement. And they did. I could see it. And then that vision faded. And we just sat holding sacred space, holding the energy for a while. And then at a certain point, we knew we were done. And we said thank you and went about the rest of our day. 3 days later, our friend called and said, I just want to give you an update on the policeman. He's got some scrapes and bruises on his leg, but he's up and around, and they expect him to be back to work in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, okay. It was a totally different story.
And so was it almost like what they call a Mandela effect? Like, wait a minute, we got one story and then we got another story. It's almost like reality changed back to that time point. So you actually time traveled in that case.
Well, let me be real specific about this. I believe the angels time traveled. Okay. I actually believe they went back in time and changed the event. This was truly a miracle because it was 2 completely different stories. Now, I didn't say anything to our friend. I didn't want to jinx it. So Linda and I really, the people I've told, and Linda.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, what? Yeah. You don't want. Because the disbelief can actually creep in and screw things up too, can't it?
Yes. So basically, we took the win, but I want to be really clear. Linda and I don't know how to time travel. As a matter of fact, neither one of us know how to heal anything. What we do know how to do is hold sacred space. We know how to call in beings of light. and we know how to hold our intention and our attention. And through that focus, the beings of light can work. A message that I received was that if the healing was going to occur without you, beloved, it would have already done so.
Right.
So our role as the facilitator, as the initiator, that is absolutely critical, because the ascended masters, angels, nature spirits, whatever, they cannot violate our right of free will.
That's right. It's like some kind of prime directive, isn't it?
Yes, it absolutely. Star Trek had that one right.
Yeah, I know.
So our part is vital, but we have to, like, if we think we're actually the ones that are doing the healing, we get a fat head and we can't make it through doorways. Okay. So, but our part is vital. We just have to know this is our role, that we are the facilitator. The Native Americans have a beautiful way.
We're the ones to come in here and say, hey, that needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. We're the ones that call them in. And the angels, they're absolutely delighted to help us.
Oh yeah, they live to serve, basically.
So one message I received about the angels.
Can I say one thing before?
Go right ahead.
My guide, one of my guides, the great big guy, that one of his names is Blue Hawk, as Azor is what I call him. He's the one who told me, and he looks like he was one of probably the original people, because he looks like a huge Indian, like a huge Native American. He said, he's the one that said, back when we had One United Earth, Paul, when we were doing that, he said, we cannot do this for you. You must instigate it and start anything you do, and we will back you up.
Yes.
We'll be there to help you in every way that we can. But you must initiate the program, not us.
That is exactly so. I agree.
Okay.
But I wanted to talk about how delighted the angels are. I mean, when they get the green light, because they actually, all that love and compassion that they have, they actually contain it with difficulty. So when they're given the green light, a friend of mine was in meditation one day, and she shut her eyes, and on her inner vision, she saw that she was surrounded by an entire legion of angels. And she was very, very moved by their beauty and the emanation of unconditional love. And then she noticed something really odd. They all had dust on their wings. And she said, "Why do you have dust on your wings?" And they answered, "Because you haven't been sending us on any missions of mercy." So the last thing I want to say about the angels is, how would you feel if you trained for a job for 100,000 years and no one ever allowed you to do it?
Exactly. You know what, Paul? I want to say something just for a minute about my crew in here. Every one of them is a service-oriented person, as far as I can tell. They all want to help people. Anybody that comes in here with a problem, everybody will jump right on it, like, try this, try that. Oh, let me help you. They're great that way. And you know what? That really is, I think, rather than this competition that we're taught, this idea that everything's competitive. No, you know what? It's really not a competitive. It's a cooperative universe.
Absolutely.
It's a cooperative universe if we let it be that. If
Well,
we let it be, it's a cooperative universe. It will cooperate with us. The cloud beings will happily cooperate to wait to rain until I get in the place. Tell them the story about the thunder beings. You asked them to not rain until you got your deck done.
yeah, yeah, and they waited till the paint was dry, you know. Um,
Yeah,
so it really
you
does.
keep them busy, Denali.
uh,
Denali says her angels have extremely clean
all
wings.
right,
Says
that means you're keeping
good
them
for
busy.
you.
See, that's what
You
they
keep them
love.
busy.
That's what they love. They love to be busy because that's uh, uh, you know that's what they were created for, was to help. And they really
Right.
are so full of love and compassion that I actually should I tell them about the experience I had with the angels?
Sure.
In 2007, I had a client that was a Reiki client that was scheduled, and she had been severely abused in um, childhood. She had survived a long-term abusive marriage. She suffered from lifelong depression, but she was this like really, I mean, really wonderful person, but she didn't see it. And my heart really went out to her. My heart was just full of compassion for her. And about a half an hour before appointment time, angels showed up and they just camped out in my heart center. And it was the most intense experience of unconditional love I've ever had in my entire life. It was overwhelming. And then during the healing itself, it just kept intensifying and intensifying to where I absolutely could not contain it. And I felt like I was this fountain of light and love. And I actually experienced myself as a son of unconditional love and compassion, just radiating that out to the whole universe. It was
I
a,
have heard there are people who have actually put this online. It's very similar experience. They saw the sun, this very benevolent and loving sun, and then at some point they realized that they are that sun.
yeah. But this
That
this
is who they are.
this was a peak spiritual experience, and my life has not been the same since. So, um, when people come to me and they tell me things that are, say, an unusual occurrence, you know, um, I don't poo-poo anything because
We
I've,
don't here either. We're absolutely, I didn't do my usual disclaimer, but we do not throw experiencers under the bus here. We absolutely are more inclined to believe you first
yeah,
until we find we can't. But
right, right,
we absolutely respect people who have experienced whatever they've experienced, because I, for one, do not believe the millions of people all over the world talking about their subjects and having so much similarity.
yes,
How can they all be? They can't all be crazy. And even if one of them are hoaxing, and even if one of the stories is true, then it's true, then it exists.
right.
And there are literally millions of people having these experiences.
But when millions of people have, say, near-death experiences, and 90% of them, the story sounds so similar. I mean, there's little variations, of course, but um, there are many people, they talk about going through a tunnel and seeing the light, and having a conversation with beings of light, and then being told they had to go back. I mean, there's just a lot of, or maybe a life review. Um, so, okay. Marilena, I see your message. That's very, very good. I'm glad you had such a powerful experience. Um, it's um, it's life changing. And the thing about, um, yeah, angels do rock. The thing about experiencing, I could talk about healing or talk about angels or talk about homeopathy all day and all night. But if you actually have an experience of it, then it becomes real.
Absolutely.
So, um, any other questions before I, check out here?
Well, let's see. Hang on. Let me look. Black Dragon says he's just a figment of your imagination. Okay. Well,
I
I
have a
thought you were
really
supposed to
good
be
imagination.
purple then. Figment was the purple dragon at Disney World,
I have a really
at
good
Epcot
imagination.
Center.
So,
What about cold feet? That is, at a wedding or just in general?
um, again, there are certain remedies that will have coldness, but again, I would have to individualize, because that person with cold feet might also have a warm head, or they might love pickles or they might hate pickles, or they may be affected by weather or not affected by weather. So what we call modalities is what makes it better, what makes it worse, is very, very important. So I can't give you one remedy for cold feet. Okay, my thoughts on tapping. You're probably talking about the, tapping like this. Okay. One of my good friends, who's a PhD psychologist, uses that in her therapies and swears by it. And I've had quite a few people uh, say that it's been very, very helpful for them to release trapped or suppressed emotions. So I think it's another energy modality that's very valuable. I love pickles.
Marilena has cold feet and loves pickles. Does that have anything to do with anything?
Oh, well, then she might need, how about thunderstorms?
How do you feel about thunderstorms, Marilena? You're getting a live treat. You're getting a live session right now, Marilena. You got cold feet and you love pickles. What else?
What about thunderstorms?
How do you feel about thunderstorms, Marilena? I love them, she says.
Okay. Then, all right, I got one more question. What about how do you respond to vigorous exercise?
How do you respond to vigorous exercise? Well, most of us love thunderstorms. I don't know. That's the thing, Paul. Most of us do love
Okay,
thunderstorms.
well, there are some people that are terrified of thunderstorms, though.
Yeah, we sure aren't. Most of us just love them.
Okay.
Anyway,
What about
I love it. Okay, Mara Elena says she
Yep.
loves vigorous exercise.
All right. So now I have four different things now about Marilena. So you probably need the remedy sepia. SEPIA, and it's made from the ink of the cuttlefish.
So that you mentioned that earlier. So she
Yes.
needs the sepia remedy.
Yeah. So that would be a possibility. Okay. So,
Okay.
don't hold my feet to the fire, because this was like a 2-minute case taking here rather than an hour and a half.
Right. Rather than face to face looking at the person. I know you prefer that.
That would be a possibility. And the good thing is, even if I'm completely wrong, it won't hurt you. It's completely non-toxic. And sepia is a common remedy, and you could pick it up at your local health food store.
And you keep throwing them to the health food store, and I keep saying, you know what, you need to get in touch with my dear friend.
They can.
I will put his information in MeWe if he lets me.
I can send remedy anywhere, so and I would be glad to do that. So
Gemini says all the same things, but she doesn't like the vigorous exercise.
okay, probably a different remedy.
Probably.
I would need more information then.
Okay, so basically, you guys are getting kind of a taste of what it would be like to have a session with Paul. And oh well, thunderstorms are poetic and soothing, says Black Dragon. And you know what? I agree. I love thunderstorms.
I don't.
We have one right now. It's all I can do to not just fall asleep.
Yeah, I
I
don't find them soothing. I find them exciting.
Well, if there's lightning, now that's exciting.
I get really excited. I find them very, very stimulating and exciting. And the more violent the weather, the more excited I get. So that's my thing with.
Oh, I like to watch thunderstorms too. I love lightning storms. Some people run in and it's like, lightning storms. And it's like, they see me, I'm standing out there watching it, with an umbrella, and they're like, you're crazy. You're going to get, no, I'm not going to get hit. There's lightning rods around the buildings here that it's going to hit way before it's going to hit me. But really, looking at a lightning storm is so awe-provoking for me. It's like watching fireworks or something.
So getting back, like I have a very nice online platform that I can send you, if we arrange something over the phone or by email, I send you a link. You don't have to sign up for anything. You click on the link, answer a couple questions, and bang, we're face to face, and we can have our hour to hour and a half session. And I've got clients in Washington State. I live in northeastern Ohio here. I've got clients in Vermont. So we do online sessions. So I can do that from any place in the world. So I really all over the place.
And if it's too expensive to mail it, which postage is going up, but most of them are very cheap compared to medical stuff. I mean, pharma.
Oh, yes, right.
Homeopathic stuff is way, way, way less expensive.
Yes, it is.
I mean,
yes, it is.
Most of his remedies are like around $5.
Yeah, well,
so
I had to raise my prices recently because they've gone up. So there's $6 for a remedy now and $6 for mailing instead of $5 and $5. So because
still compared to pharmaceuticals.
Oh my God, yeah, $20,000 a pop for some. So yeah, we're still quite affordable.
Right. So basically that's a great deal. And I gotta say, through the years, well, but it's not just that you've done. You have also done some, I know you don't do it as much anymore, but you have also done some hands-on type things, Paul.
Oh, I do all kinds of hands-on things.
Right.
I do that often, as well as homeopathy, because it's all energy healing. So I love to do that.
It's all in the realm of energy healing. So maybe we can have you back on another time and you can talk about some of that as well, and maybe Reiki and maybe some of the other things.
Yes, I'm also a oneness blessing giver, which is from an ancient Hindu tradition. So we could do something around that too. I could actually do a Sanskrit chant for you.
That's right. Yeah, that's very cool. See, so really, like I said, I don't know what I would have done if I don't know what my life would have looked like if I hadn't met Paul all those years ago. And it was in a really weird way too, because it was just something that I kind of randomly attend. No, I remember what it was. It was the Spiral Weavers or something. I was part of that.
Okay.
And yeah, and you came because you had something going on with you. You were constantly on, and you couldn't figure out why you couldn't turn off and just sleep and rest. And
That sounds like me.
yeah,
So,
and I gave you one, and I think one of the other people gave you one, and it was the same advice, but from different angles. It was basically we saw different things, but it was actually the same exact advice, which was weird because, but that's the way it works. I mean, I may see it this with this allegory, and you may see it with a different allegory, but the allegories kind of match up and still how you
right,
need to handle this situation.
right.
So that's another thing. It's just how your mind works, how you get messages, and how you give messages too. And yeah, you can have sessions with Paul. And while we are doing our little blurb that way, you can also have sessions with me. I am $15 for 15 minutes. And basically, we will answer most of your questions in 15 minutes. We do a full reading. And if you have something that needs addressed, if I can get that done in 15 minutes, we'll do that too. But basically, that's basically my rates now. So, and you can pay me through PayPal. I don't charge for most things like crossings overs and clearing homes of negative energy, but I do very much welcome tips because I gotta live like everybody else.
Yeah.
So, and we keep our rates very affordable because we really care more about helping people. Like, I've done this for free for most of my life. Um, it's only been recently that I've been thinking, I used to be on the psychic fair circuit, and they would charge a lot more for my services than I would ever get. Usually, I would only get half of their take.
Mm-hmm.
And which, some days was pretty good, but still, and so I'm charging you about half of what you would normally, well, actually less than that. But anyway, so anyway, now Paul, his site is, what is your site again, Paul? Rainbow Gardens dot what?
Rainbow Gardens at neo.rr.com. That's my email.
Okay, so can one of my mods catch that and put it up here? Let me see if I can. Okay, hang on. Let me do that.
Rainbow Gardens at neo.rr.com.
Hang on hang on. NEO, Northeastern Ohio dot rrroadrunner dot com. Okay, let me get that into chat. There you go. Oh yeah, my cat doesn't like thunderstorms either. He hides under the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's kind of a pussy. I didn't really say that out loud, did I? Yes, I did. Okay, well. Yes, I used to love to watch lightning strike, Marilyn. I used to do that. And, Yeah, there are people who know me well enough because lightning likes to hit near me sometimes. Used to like to hit near me and not hit me, but sometimes will hit near me. And so some people I know stand back if they see lightning, they stand back from where I am. So
Mm.
yeah, because I had never been hit, but I have actually been in a car with it dancing between the poles. It's arcing, literally arcing back and forth in front of me, and I'm trying to drive, and people are like white knuckles, like It's like, oh, don't worry, it's not going to hurt us.
Well,
um,
I would be glad to, I would be glad to communicate with any of you, and so because that's what I'm due. That's why I'm here is to help. So I'm always glad to do that.
right, Paul is a very helpful guy. He really is, and like I said, I don't know what I would do, how things would have gone for me if it hadn't been for Paul. But he's also a very good friend. He's a good guy. So, as they are in the world, not always that easy to come by. We must appreciate them when we find them. So,
Okay,
um,
I'm going to sign off now. So
okay,
thank you for having me on the show, Ocean, and it was
okay.
very glad to see all the comments and questions. So everyone, you take care and God bless.
And we'll be inviting you back again.
Okay, I'll be glad to do that.
Okay, take care, Paul.
You too. Good night.
Good night. Well, and with that, that is, let's see, an hour and a half. So well, actually, I'm plugged into the wall, so I don't have to leave at any particular time. I can kind of hang out here for a little bit and talk if you want, um, because I'm plugged into the wall. But if y'all gotta zip off to something, there may be something else going on tonight. So I think there are a few other places. Anyway, we pretty much got it wrapped up, I think, though. The next time will be Sunday at 8:30. So my time is going to be 8:30 probably on Mondays and Sundays and Wednesday. On Sunday, Monday, Wednesday so far. I may add another day in there somewhere, but for now, that seems to be the times that work out the best. And if you know somebody who would be a good fit for this show, please get in touch with me. And I am Ocean Diana. No numbers or anything. It's a very old account. OceanDiana@gmail.com. It's an ancient account. No numbers or anything needed. So, anyway, everybody going, everybody taking off. Okay, that's cool. That's about an hour and a half. That's a pretty good show. And remember, you are divine. You are divine. Literal miracles can happen, and they can happen because you took action. So, don't let your angel's wings get dusty. I'll tell you a little bit more about what I think is going on with angels uh, at some point, maybe. Okay. Oh, a field fire at the neighbors. Oh, wow, Pam. Um, Rain in that area. Cloud beings, rain. They need rain over there. Oh, Marilena's been on the show, hon. Black, yeah. Marilyn has been on the show. She'll be on again. Yeah, I'm sure she'll be on it, right, Mary? Yeah, Marilyn will be on the show again. Yeah. Oh, thank you guys. Remember, you're creators. So when you dream, dream well. And the truth is where you find it. Most of the time, it's right in front of you. And a lot of the time, it's within. So, oh, okay. So basically, with that, hey, I'm going to call it a night. But if you want to chat a minute or something, but it looks like everybody's got places to go right now, so which is great because it's about 10 o'clock. That's a nice show. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. I love you all. You are all great people, in my opinion. Um, to have an interest in this, there must be something special about you. And you wouldn't be here if there wasn't something special going on with you. And I just want you to know you're way ahead of the curve as far as what most people know. You guys know a heck of a lot more. So I am very proud to have you as part of my crew. We will love to see you again. And if you want to bring a friend, that's cool. Don't forget to do the thumb thing. And we need some thumbs, and we need the comments, and we need the sharing, and we need you to hit that bell. Okay, so with that, I'm taking off. Okay, good night. Love y'all. See you next time.